All right. Good morning, everybody. Welcome. Oh my God, look at the camera. I got to get some work done in here. I got to fix that door. I got to fix my stinking camera. It's too weird and zoomed in. I got to do some work. Anyway, good morning. Welcome to the Daily Degen, the new show here on Casino Gaming TV. Basically, it's going to be a half hour every day of me just kind of babbling on a little bit. When I get my table put back together again, we'll do some actual chip movement. But for the meantime, we'll just be bullshitting and chatting. And anyway, here we go. Let's see what's happening in our world here. And before we do, I especially today, we got to remind ourselves all the important stuff, right? Having your goals, understanding. I should change what it says here. It says bankroll is your leverage and handling your loss. I love the way Skill puts this. Bankroll is, understand what your bankroll can do. What is your bankroll capable of, right? How does it support you? How does your strategy support the way you want to win, right? What is your appetite for risk or your aversion to risk? And how do we identify opportunity, keep our emotions in check, having a proper mindset to kind of connect everything together, and of course, having good discipline to execute things, right? That's the most important piece to me. I got to change the camera as I go here. There's no way to do this cleanly. Anyway, let's we're going to jump in real quick. I have something I really want to talk about today, and I think it'll be hopefully a relevant conversation. But as I get into this thing, make sure that you're putting your letter Q. So Q for my question, like this, Q colon my question in front like that, and that way I can find them later on. We'll have a little Q&A at the end if you'd like to. Good morning, Fuzzy. How you doing, sir? Got to meet Fuzzy out here in Seattle one time. Actually, it's pretty cool. All right, so what's happening right now? DiceCon's happening, so I expect a little bit low viewership, but we'll see some folks out there at DiceCon. Maybe we'll get some live reports from people. I know Brian's out there and Leon's out there and Jen's out there, so let's find out what's happening from those folks. But right after that, we're just a couple months away, 2.5 months away from Crash for the Cure. It's my birthday weekend. It's going to be September 13th and 14th. My birthday's that Friday, so you can expect some fun out of me on Friday for sure. And then Saturday, Sunday, we go ahead and raise money. We go ahead and do the fundraiser at Casino Quest and at Palace Station. I'll have discount codes from Palace Station very, very soon. They're going to be giving us 25% off rooms. Anybody wants to come and attend. And that will be, if you buy a ticket, you'll get the discount code. That's how it's going to work. So if you buy a ticket for the event, discount code comes in the email when you buy the ticket. I'll have all that stuff up later in the week for sure. Right after me, Big AZ, 2 weeks later, the 28th of September in Vegas for the weekend. And then the end of that comes the Casino Tears Clinic, which I'll be going to this year. So finally, I will get to see Ed in person. And I think, which again, after all that, I think October 15th or so, my mom is actually going to be flying from Oklahoma. She's visiting a friend in Oklahoma to Vegas, and we're going to meet her in Vegas and then fly her back to Florida again. So lots going on out there in the world. Hey, NJ Polka Guy Frank, how you doing, man? All right, next up, I want to talk about today this blocking the 6 and 8. Now, our good friend, I put that in air quotes, Jimmy, has put out yet another greatest way to play craps video. He has claimed that anybody who says that hedging off the 6 or 8 when you have a don't pass bet is an idiot. He has said lots of things, such as you don't gamble for a living if you don't play this way. I find it funny when I watch his videos that he's the GOAT, right? Jimmy's the best craps player of all time. Self-proclaimed best craps player of all time. Jimmy apparently plays for a living. He brings $10,000. He tries to win like $100 a day or some bullshit like that. He's put out, every video he puts out is the only way to play and only way to win. Okay, if I was gambling for a living, I might have 2 or 3 really good go-to strategies that I'd play, like Frank, NJ Polka Guy, certainly does, right? And that's what I would do, right? He seems to find a new way to unlock the game every single day. Now, it can be said, I used to do the same thing, right? There was a time where I was putting out videos all the time, like, hey, let's try this, let's try that. And as you go through, like I played my whole life certain ways, right? And as you go through and run a channel like this, you unlock different patterns that are kind of cool, right? And I'm like, oh, this is kind of a cool. And then I evaluate, like, no, that's actually not a very good pattern at all. And I kind of settled back in. And interestingly enough, after running the channel for a few years now, I've kind of settled back into the way I've always played, right? Which is you gotta, like I say to you all the time, you got to trust the math. You got to know the math. You can't be beholden to the math. Now I'm going to show you all the math here, how this works out. Okay. What Jimmy does, and I'll give you a kind of a synopsis here. He comes out with a $100 don't pass. Okay. After the don't pass, if the point is a 6 or an 8, he blocks it off. He puts $90 6 or 8, and that's it. So if the point's 6, $90 6, the only bet he makes. That's the only bet that he makes. Okay. If it's any other point, he'll bet the 6 and 8 for $60 each. Meaning, if the point is 6 or 8, he's going to win 10 on a 7, win 5 on the 6, and that's it. He's basically guaranteeing a tie once the point is set. If the point's a 5 or 9, he'll bet the 6 or 8 for $60 each, which means if they win, he'll win $70, or he'll lose 20 if the 7 comes, right? He's risking 20 to win the 70. And then once he wins the 70, he takes 50 of that and puts it over on the point to kind of stave off the point, right? So he's basically making or losing 10, 15, or $20 on every single shooter. It's a this, right? Which in his mind is the best way to play craps, right? What he's forgetting and what again, the video that he ran doesn't show a whole lot of come out losses, but they're there. The problem with this is this: if you do it that way, as you can see here, the point is 6 or 8, you can expect over the course of time, over averages, when you're doing this and again, he says you got to play for hours and hours and hours. So he's leaning into law of large numbers zone here, right? You'll win on the average about $60 on the 6 or on the 7 when the 7 comes. You'll win about $25, $5 a time when the 6 or the 8 hits. That's your $10 or $5 win that you're guaranteeing, right? You'll be up on the point cycle alone, $85, which is really cool to guarantee that, right? If you're playing it unplugged, by the way, right, you can expect to lose. This should be net minus 100, by the way, or plus 100. You can expect that the 7's going to beat the 6 or 8 6 times. You can expect that 7's going to lose to 6 or 8 5 times. You'll be net up 100. Playing it clean, just the don't pass versus the 6 or 8, you're better off by $15 to not block it over the course of time. Now, if Jimmy's not full of shit and he does play every single day with the $10,000 bankroll and the $100 don't, he's leaning in over many hours, because you got to play hours and hours and hours to get $15 wins to add up enough for you. He's into law of large numbers. You're going to see the average. Okay. And that all, it's fine. $15 difference, I can have that argument all day long. Who cares? $15, right? It ultimately doesn't matter. What's the problem with this way of playing is that he's not accounting for and not talking about the downside, which is the come out losers, right? The don't pass come out losers are soul crushers, right? In this situation, you're going to lose a net $600 on the don't, on the come outs. You're going to win on the 2-3. $500. You're going to win on the 2 and 3, and you're going to lose on the 7 and 11. You're going to be net down $500, right? That's the problem is when you lose the big bets and you're only winning little tiny bits like he's doing, it takes a billion little tiny bits to make up for your big ass losses. That's the problem with this. The blocking the 6 and 8 versus making it unplugged. Again, I don't care about that part of his argument or anybody's argument. For $15, it doesn't matter. Ultimately, it matters, right? But I mean, you're talking about tiny money there. The big problem when you're blocking off numbers is the come out. And that's where you get kind of hammered here, right? Let's do some comparisons. Let's do other ways of playing, right? If you did a full 6, 7, 8, this is more Jacob style. And again, Jimmy kind of goes after Jacob a little bit, saying these other guys that say they're great, that put out strategies, right, don't understand the game as well as he does. Here's simple. You do a full 6, 7, 8, $100 don't, 96 across, right? How does it work out? Well, when the 7 comes 6 times, you're going to lose $4. You're going to win 100, lose 96. You're going to win $24 net on the 7. You basically are destroying the power of the 7. Okay. And we'll just take a look at one hits, right? Just one hit and stop playing. If you don't get a 7, you're going to win on the 4, on the inside numbers, 18 times, $21 for $378. You're going to win on the outsides, the 4 and 10, 6 times, $28 for $168. Your net up $570, right? But you're going to lose on the don't pass come outs. you're going to be net down about $30, which is what you'd expect, right? Again, one hit and stop playing. One hit and turn your bets off. All of them. Take the don't pass down. That's what I'm kind of giving you here, right? If that happens, okay? If you do just one hit without the don't pass, same deal, right? 96 across, you're going to lose the $96 6 times. You're going to win $21 18 times, win 28 6 times. You'll be net down $30. It's the exact same freaking thing, right? If you do a 6, 7, 8 for one hit or a regular for one hit, you're going to basically be in the same spot. $30 down versus hundreds down because of the don't pass losers, right? And of course, the clean don't, right? You lose your come outs, you'll be net down $600. In the point cycles, you'll be net up 480, down 120. What I'm getting, the point I'm making here is this. It doesn't matter ultimately, right? And I think Doracel's going, oh my God, more stuff. I'm not trying to explain probabilities. I'm just trying to go through rhythm here, okay? It doesn't matter if you want to play this, right? Where am I going? If you want to play one hit and stop playing, if you want to play one hit and stop playing with a little bit of a DP hedge with you, right? You're going to work, the come out's going to crush you. You need to play this way, right? $100 at risk on the come out to make 15 or $30. 5, 10, you make 5, 10, or 20, or you lose 30 is the way he's playing. You're putting $100 at risk, right? On that come out to maybe make a few bucks on the other side of it. And this is where I say these kind of strategies, unless you're really going to do what Jacob does, a one hit and down, 6, 7, 8, $100 and then don't, 96 across, either win 4 or win 20 and turn your shit off, right? If you're going to do that, then fine, but you're still risking that big come out loss, right? Instead of just going 96 across naked, ignore the come out, go across naked, take your one hit and stop playing, right? Yes, you'll lose $96 6 times. It's going to happen over time, right? You're going to win your nickels, right? I think PJ Strong used to say it's like picking nickels up in front of a steamroller. The steamroller is the 7. In the end, playing this way for one hit and going bye-bye, you're going to be down about $30 on the average. Now, if you can win more often than you lose and get a little streak, that minus 30 becomes, whatever, plus 20, plus 20, plus 20, plus 20, right? If you catch some in a row. That's the thing that people who think they've got the game solved don't really understand, right? Is this part of it. It's just easier and better, in my opinion. And I love Jacob, right? Jacob's the master of the 6, 7, 8. To me, it's better to just play it clean. Don't try and hedge. Don't try and stave things off or block numbers off. Just let it go clean. Take a clean 20, 35, whatever your bet level is, win and stop. And make that your goal on every shooter. If you can go around 10 shooters and you win 7 or 8 out of the 10, you're going to be in great shape and you had a good session. If you go around 10 shooters and you lose 6 out of the 10, it wasn't your day and you stop playing. It's so much easier on your brain. It's better for the math and it's better for your bankroll to just keep it clean. Now, if you want opportunity, you can play clean, and build bankroll so you can survive again and do your pressing rhythms. We'll talk more about pressing rhythms tomorrow. Tomorrow I want to really get into talking about that monster roll that happened in AC. I don't have the numbers, obviously, right? We've talked about monster rolls before many, many, many times. We talked about how to, I put up numbers that are like, here's the 47 roller, here's the 53 roller, here's the whatever roller. And how would all these different ways of playing have done against that roll? There's no answer to the question. Ed did a video last night where he was talking about the 107 roller in AC. And, some guys same betted it, right? Some guys leaned in. The guys that leaned in made $250,000, right? The guys that same betted it, even if you're same betting on 100 and some roller and you get like 90 box numbers in the 107, what's 90 times 35? Hold on, 90 times 35. Those guys still made 3K, right? Which isn't bad. If you're sitting there same betting $25 bets on 100 and some roller, you still make $3,000. Not the worst thing in the world, right? You could have leaned into it. I want to talk about the lean in tomorrow. And again, for you all in chat, come tomorrow kind of prepared to talk about that, right? Let's have this more interactive if we can. leaning into those kind of roles is interesting. And I think that you can play from behind, right? And say, oh, if it was me at the table, I would have done blah, 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 right? I think most people who say that are full of baloney, right? What I want you to do is think about, if that good roll happens, does the way I'm already playing capitalize on it? Because I don't think people change the way they play on a big roll for the most part, right? If you're predisposed to go, you know what, I'm going to bet inside. Let's just take Frank's way to play. We'll do NJ Polka Guy, right? Let's take Frank's way. Frank likes to go, 66 inside. He ends up at 66 inside, right? And he presses by 21 or 22. Press by 22. Press by 22. Every roll. Press by 22 ad infinitum, right? 107 rolls later, that $66 is going to look like 660, right? And he's bringing home, instead of 21, he's bringing home 220, right? Every time. Over time, how would that have done against the monster roll? Well, if you're staying on the same pattern, it's going to do just great. Some days you'll lose the $66. Some days you're going to win, $250 a spin or $250 a roll as your pressing pattern goes. It's all going to equalize out, right? Some guys will take that same 66 and go press, collect, press, collect, press, collect, right? Maybe they only collect twice, where one guy's collecting 7 times smaller amounts. At the end of the day, it kind of all evens out, right? Unless you're just sitting there never increasing your bets. So tomorrow, let's talk about that. Tomorrow, let's look at a big roll, and I'm gonna do screens like you see here, right? Where we look at a couple of different ways to play, and I'm gonna simulate. We'll say, let's pretend we got 10, 20, or 30, whatever, inside or across numbers on a big roll. And let's just look at, what does it look like to win, right, with your pressing rhythm? I think pressing rhythm is where it's at on the right side. If you're playing right side craps, you got to be in some rhythm of increasing your bet size. Whether it's super aggressive or passive, it doesn't matter. But find your pattern that you like and stick with it. On the 107 rolls, right? Let's say there was 15 fives rolled, right? What is your pattern on the 5? How does it, and would you change it? Like Ed said perfectly last night, even on roll 60, right? Even on roll 60 of 107 roller, you're still thinking the 7's coming, right? Are you full board lean in? Or are you collecting? Like, hey, now I got my bet up to $1,000. Am I going to collect a couple of those? Right? Or am I going to go from 1,000 to 2,000 or from 1,000 to 2,500? You got to think about that, right? So, anyway, that's for tomorrow. For today, right? Just go through and think about what I'm saying here. When you block something off, right? This is the reason why, by the way, the 3-point blender. This is basically the 3-point blender, but only on 2 numbers, right? That we saw in Craps Nation years and years ago. It's why it can't work. The reason why it can't work is the come out losses. That's the problem. When you're winning only $5 or $10 at a time, you cannot recover the $100 don't pass loss unless you get lucky with a different point and you're hitting other numbers and then getting the immediate 7. You need to hit, a point of 5. You got to get, a 6 to hit for $70 and then also 7 out on the 5 to make back that money. You're needing 2 things to happen to recover your loss. If you just keep it clean, and take your hits on the come out and take your wins on the points, you're better off in the long run without doing all this bullshit trying to move things around. Okay? There's no best way to play craps. There's the best way for you to play craps. And that's what I'm talking about. There's the best way for you to play craps. Skill and luck, right? Likes to get out of the hand quickly. 66 to 88 to 44. He's playing for free and doesn't care. The problem with that way of playing, the same thing I was just saying, if you do that, you're going to lose that $66 a number of times, right? You're going to lose it 6 times. You're going to get to your 44 inside for free, quote unquote, about 3 times. You're going to lose 66 6 times. You're going to be playing for free about 3 times, right? Of those 3 times, you better have one of those things win enough money to recover all those losses from the $66. That's where these getting out of the hand strategies, you get hurt by them. That's where playing the don't pass and trying to hedge it off hurts you, because the bigger losses are hard to come back from when you're getting dinky little wins. And that's what people forget. I know that Jimmy does this thing where he, after a couple losses, he doubles up his bet and then he goes up again, right? When you're bringing 10 grand, right? And remember with skills, what's your bankroll capable of? You're bringing 10 grand. You want to ladder up your DPs for a while. You can probably survive that a little bit and maybe come back from it. Most people can't do that, right? So to me, teaching somebody that the only way to do that, or that the way to recover from that part of what I'm saying here is the nightmare, is to bring more bankroll and ladder your losses. That's going to cost somebody a house someday. That's going to cost somebody their mortgage payment someday. Then that's dangerous teaching. So that's what it's all about. Yeah, it's not about probability. It's more about Duracell. It's more about what's better for you. And like I said, when you're hedging off, right? What's going to happen is going to happen. You're going to get plunked on the don't. To me, it's better to just play it clean. Just play it clean. Let what's going to happen happen. Even here, this is a lot of moving shit around. Just play it clean. Play a clean don't, right? Play a clean don't and take your losses and take your wins and hopefully you get a little run, or play a clean across. Either way. But trying to hedge and all this crap around, it's just going to cause you consternation. Now, by the way, the guy that plays the horseman, which is a don't pass and 3 right side bets, right? Contradicting himself, right? That play is designed to switch sides, right? Win on the short, win on the short, win on the short, switch on the long runs, right? It's designed to switch you out of the don't. Matter of fact, it hopes for the don't passes to lose in the long run. It's the goal of that strategy is to like survive short, but really lean into a long roll. Playing just to hedge off the point doesn't lean into a long roll. It removes all opportunity. I think it's a silly way to play. I think losing 600 to win 15, 20, or 30 bucks doesn't seem like a smart play to me, especially over the course of time. And I think the person who's talking about that doesn't really play for a long time. If you played for a long time and you were risking $100 to win 5 or 10 or 20, you don't understand the game, and you're going to lose long term. And I would implore people to not listen to that kind of drivel. So there you go. Let's see. Gary said, love the drawdown. You got to get the 2 hits. You're right about that. The drawdown is great, right? When it works. And like I said, when I was playing it, you've got to get it to run more than expected. Okay. That one's going to lose about 66% of the time, roughly, right? You're going to burn the full, whatever you're playing, 320 across on the first roll. You're going to burn that sometimes, right? You're going to burn on the second roll. The second roll, though, right? You're going to only lose a third of your money, which is cool. You're going to lose 100% or 30% about 66% of the time. About 33% each. The other times, right? All the other times, the 66% times that you don't get your ass kicked, you're only going to win about $100, right? So you're going to win 100, whatever number of times, lose the whole thing, whatever. You got to make sure that you're winning more than 66% of the time. Otherwise, it doesn't work, right? That's why I say to you all the time, if there's anything to dice influence, the reason why I practice my throws, right, is because I want to have faith in my ability to get those 2 rolls more often than I should, right? When I won on the Daily Paycheck shows, I won because the Dallas drawdown, I was throwing well enough that I won that 80% of the time. I got my 2 rolls. I should get the 2 rolls about 65% of the time. I did it 80%. That's the reason why I won the paychecks. Not because the strategy is great. I happened to catch a lucky streak. Now, whether I caused it or not, we can have that debate. But that was the whole point of it, right? All these things you have to outperform. You got to perform. If you look at the 96 across, if you outperform it, the probabilities that are here, right? If you win $21 19 times and you lose $96 5 times, you outperformed it, you're going to be net up $62 or whatever that comes out to be. That's how you win. And when you're outperforming, you got to stop playing. The minute that the performance ends, you got to have opportunity and recognize it's time to get the hell out of the casino. Frank will tell you that. Frank in the chat will tell you that's the most important piece, right? The minute your goodness stops and it levels off, bye-bye, done, right? Let's see. You're right. You're right. This is, and this again, Doris, this is such a great point that you're making. And I got to go in a minute. This is such a great point because, right, probabilities are what they are. Math is what it is. And I say all the time, know it, right? Understand it. Let it kind of guide you, but don't let it own you, right? DI is the one way that you can overcome the math. You can't overcome the math with time, like Jimmy says. You can't overcome the math with bankroll, like Jimmy says. You can't. You can overcome the math with some influence that changes the advantage. And if you can throw well enough to change the advantage, you can overcome the math. Now we look at ways, Dallas drawdown style, right? To take advantage of that. Other ways of betting that take advantage of an advantage you can create for yourself. I think that's the one way that you can overcome those probabilities, right? And I think, guys that throw well, you're one of them, by the way, can do that. And if you can do that on the regular, right, more often than you ought to, you're going to be in good shape. If you just succumb yourself to randomness and math, there's no way to beat this game with bankroll. There's no way to beat this game with hedging. You just can't, especially with a giant hedge. So, all right, guys, that's it for me. I don't see any more questions out there. I don't think anyway. Let me just check really quick. Any other questions that I missed? Let's see. Waylon, I will answer this before I go. The seventh, the top of the pyramid for a reason. Take it for what it's worth, right? You're right. But if you're gonna work so hard, right? And I say work hard to get the 7 clear on the come out, right? You're gonna lose that come out roll 8 times on the 7s and on the 11s. You're only gonna win it a couple times, 2-3 times. You're gonna be net down $500 in those come outs, guaranteed, right? The come out's a bitch. If you can survive that, why on earth would you work to survive that and then give up the advantage for $5 or $10? I get it, right? When the 6 or 8 gets hit as a point and knocks your dome off, it sucks. You take your lumps, right? More often than not, you're going to get that $100 right back, right? Don't work to survive only to give the advantage back to the house. And that's what you're doing in those situations. That's a big play out there, especially when your goal and the strategy is to win 5, 10, or $20 a shooter. Just go 96 across, take your one win and stop playing. It's the same thing. It ends up being better for you because you're not burning black chips in the come out. Just take 96 across, take a hit, stop playing, and pray that today's your day, right? Professional gamblers cannot survive, trust me, with that hedging system. You'll end up burning, man. That's the way it's going to be. So, all right, I got to go. It's weird going for half an hour and stopping the show, but there it is. All right, I'm out of here, guys. The book's going to be a great read. Are you talking about my book at some point? Yeah, playing clean doesn't get you time. I hear you, John, right? Playing clean, though, again, if you're going to be at the on, and that's a great point, by the way. On the boat, it's different. On the boat, you're playing for time. However, that don't pass will destroy you. Remember, the don't pass is a killer. That's why the horseman works better to me than the light in the darkness, because I have a chance, right, to double up the wins on those early 7s. That's the reason why I think that's the flipper for me on the boats. But I hear you there. You want to time in the tables, you got to hedge it out, but you got to be careful that don't. All right, I'm out of here, guys. Have a great Tuesday. I'll see you tomorrow morning. And again, tomorrow we're going to talk about monsters, a little bit about ways to leaning in. Again, not going to give you the answer, but ways to lean in on monsters. All right. That's it. Have a good one. I'm out of here. Have a good Tuesday. I'll see you on Hump Day. Bye, all.